So in this video, I'm going to help you identify a hospital that's going to malpractice you and cause harm to you that you might not know until 4 to 10 years later. A lot of times that's how it works. I'm going to give one example called wiping the port, and that could give you an infection that could stay in your heart for about 8 more years, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're dead. So little stuff like that actually matters. But I'm going to help you identify if a hospital is more likely or less likely to be a hospital that's either purposely or not purposely malpracticing their patients. Because they're untouchable and they know it today, and our government's falling apart, and poor people can't get attorneys. So if you live in a poor hick town like Rochester, New Hampshire, more so or unlikely you'll find a hospital that's taking poor people and making them more injured so they won't come back, causing them mental distress, causing them physical pain, getting money from their insurance and not doing what they say they're doing, double booking. That means where you bill the insurance but you cancel on the patient, stuff like that. Okay, first of all, to identify a hospital that's malpracticing patients, you got to know what a good hospital is. So I've been to hospitals in Texas, Haverhill, Lawrence, Lowell, Boston, Worcester, Dover, Portsmouth, um, Rochester. It said El Paso, Texas on that list. I believe a couple in Westford as well. Westford, and probably a couple in like Acton or primary cares or doctors around Massachusetts. But emergency rooms, the first list, that's where they are. I've gone to emergency rooms in Lawrence. I've gone to emergency rooms in Haverhill. I've gone to emergency rooms in Westford or Lowell. Lots of emergency rooms in Lowell, two of them there. Emergency rooms in Texas. I've been in emergency rooms in Rochester, New Hampshire. I've been in emergency rooms in Dover, New Hampshire. I've been in emergency rooms in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And now I'm going to tell you what I know about them. So all the hospitals in Lowell, Massachusetts, they only have one problem. They try to give too much care. So you might have nothing wrong with you but a upset stomach, and they'll go and over medicate you and cause more issues through medicine. So their technique is to over medicate, give you too much of doctor stuff. So you don't see a lot of malpractice where doctors are purposely hurting you, and it's usually just over prescribing medicine in that state. And I don't consider that anything that you can actually report as malpractice. So no, no malpractice even in Lawrence, Mass. But New Hampshire, both Rochester and Dover hospitals have actually malpracticed me. Now, what am I talking about malpractice? I'm talking about not wiping the ports. What is that? Okay, one of the ways you can tell if a hospital is good or not, when they give you an IV, they keep that little line in you. I used to call it a PICC line, but that's not the right word for it. But they keep a line open so they can give you medicines more easily. But they're supposed to wipe the port before and after they use it. But a lot of nurses will just they'll put the needle in the port, they'll give you your medicine, put another needle in the port, give you your medicine. No, they're supposed to take an alcohol wipe and wipe the port. It's not that big a deal, but one in every 10,000 patients that don't get their ports wiped will get an infection directly into their veins that go directly to the heart. So you do not want an infection going directly to the heart. That's the problem with most junkies. They're not sterilizing their equipment, and they have no idea they're injecting bacteria directly into their heart. Like, I have seen junkies use river water. I've seen junkies use rainwater from puddles without sterilizing it. They do got infections in their heart now, I guarantee. But also, when a nurse does that, when they allow the bacteria in the air of a hospital just floating around, if a nurse is coughing into her elbow near you and then injects your port, things like that can add up. And if your hospital isn't doing it, that's one thing that you can go, okay, if I can see that they're not wiping the port here, what else are they not doing behind the scenes? Are they really taking my information and giving me the care I need? Also, are they taking reports from your other doctors? Like, they don't take reports from my neurologist. They don't take reports or information from the patient. If they don't take reports, like in David's case, from their primary care that's known them for 25 years, or a healthcare proxy that's known them for 10 years, or when you have my neighbor who goes in and they don't listen to their primary care. When the emergency rooms are refusing to listen to other doctors who know what's going on, they're most likely pushing malpractice. Because if they don't listen to those doctors and hang up on them and try not to take the calls and they make a oopsie, they can say, well, I didn't know. But if a doctor then tells them something and then they go ahead and do that oopsie anyways, then the doctor can show up in court in the end and go, well, I told the emergency room doctor not to do it. And that's the problem. Like, they wanted to rush David through anesthesia only hours after he arrived with the surgery that we've known about for 10 years. Now, his primary care was furious because the reason why they've held off on removing his colon for 10 years is that half of his heart doesn't pump blood, and they've known that he won't survive anesthesia anymore. So they know if they put him under, he'll never wake up. So there's no purpose of giving a man a surgery if he can't survive the anesthesia. So they have to work around it by trying to shrink it just to give him a couple of years' life. We've known this. But if an emergency room knows this for over 6 years, and they want to get rid of a patient because of whatever reasons, maybe they think he's a sex offender, maybe they're just understaffed and underpaid and they just can't handle the emergency room visits that are coming in, maybe they're just young and naive, no matter what the reason is, scheduling a surgery on a man that you already know can't get anesthesia, I mean, that's just stupid. And it didn't go through because his primary care 2 days later said he was furious. I did it the same day. I was furious because they tried to get me to override David. David was smart enough to refuse. Then I said no. Then David refused again. And then his primary care finally got a hold and said, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Then they gave him medicine causing a seizure. Yes, they administered David medication causing a seizure and then called me. What I was like, why are you guys administering medication without checking with me? I mean, I could have told you a lot of medication would interfere with his condition because I've been trying to bring him in here for 3 years. Or if they try, let's say that you try to have an overnight when you're really hurt. You ask your insurance company and the hospital to keep you overnight. You're bloodied up, you're clearly needing it. You can't walk out of your wheelchair, whatever. And they don't keep you overnight. But then you go in for something simple like a broken leg, and you tell them you have to do something tomorrow or your whole life will fall apart. And then the hospital decides to keep you for some dumb reason. Why that timing? Well, because this is another malpracticing hospital. That's one of the signs. If they keep you when you can't be kept, and then they release you when you're supposed to stay. When you see these reversed, doing the wrong thing all the time, when you see a hospital doing that, they're trying to send patients away. Some of the hospitals have been told to do the opposite of what they're supposed to because they just don't have the funding to try to keep on taking patients, like Frisbee and Rochester. They are purposely malpracticing the homeless because they just don't have the capacity for everybody. So anybody under a certain income, they just malpractice so they won't come back. Cause as much pain and do as much stupid stuff as you can on them. That way they won't come back because they're worse now. You're making these people worse. And if you do keep coming back, they'll just try to kill you slowly at a time. They'll cause more and more injuries. Now, there's not a lot of hospitals that do that. Now, it was Frisbee that was doing it, but then they got sued and all the doctors left. A lot of them went to the hospital Wentworth Douglas. And now the emergency room department in the hospital Wentworth Douglas is acting wacky. So you got two hospitals in this area, that is the Dover, Rochester, Somersworth area. You got a lot of this funny business between businesses. I see this with Harrington Moving, Wood Brothers, Burke, with what is it called? Greystone of Maine. They work together to try to work around the government's laws and try to make try to do illegal gangs type stuff, like using the courts to their advantage to profit off of their tenants. Like, let's say you have to fix your pipes in your building. let's say you're a landlord and your pipes have gone. They will use letters around and they'll form some type of kind of gang and then use that gang in the courts to try to get the tenants to have to pay for the pipes. And they'll do this by saying the tenants are ruining it. But you need proof for that. Well, his proof is that he has a bunch of people on the payroll writing him letters. Oh, yes, the tenants are throwing rags. I saw it in the septic tank. There's a bunch of rags in the septic tank. It's their fault. Meanwhile, you can't make out shit in all that feces. And it's an open cover. They leave an open cover on the top so leaves and everything just blows straight in the top right into that septic tank. They don't cover one of the three holes. I don't know why we have three holes in one septic tank, but anyways, one of them isn't covered. But they just write letters saying that it's the tenant's fault, and then the courts bill us for years and years and years. Right now, they want us to give the landlord new windows, new pipes, and bed bug bombing on 3 floors. And they want the tenants to pay for it, again, is the key word. While we get sick from mold and water damage and have to buy 6 mattresses in a short amount of time, not only for the bugs, we got water coming in damaging it. 1 bedroom, water's always coming in. We got the living room, all water always coming in. And you got the bathroom, water always coming in. And there's nothing I can do about it other than try to caulk and seal everything and keep the windows closed. But when a ceiling tile and pipes above your head are going, all you can do is call maintenance and the landlord. And what does he do? He throws a little bit of sticky stuff over the pipe or throws in a new section, throws in a tile, calls it fixed. When the problem is the old pipes cannot survive the pressure of 2 showers running at the same time. So every time the 2 showers above my head runs, it just separates his pipes. Now all he did was put in a plastic spacing, but it's just going to open back up probably a little bit down the line because those pipes are still there. They're still the old ones, and they're still leaking all the way down. They're all the way down. It's not just that spot. So now it's going to open back up over the toilet or over somewhere else, and I can already see it coming back. You can already see it. Actually, I'll show you a picture. It's already slowly coming back, as you can see. And there will be a day where there's a big one when they run both showers. See it coming back? That's the brand new one. Yep. Brand new tile, already coming back again. See that? Yep, coming back. That'll be mold. That's only 5 days old. This tile is 5 days old. Within the month, that will turn into mold. There'll be bigger spots, and we'll be getting sick again more. And don't forget about this doozy over here. It's still here. They've been in here hundreds of times saying they fixed it. Well, we put up a piece of glass, so you can't believe their lies. But that's all they do. They just get a whole bunch of signed letters. They bring it to the courts, and then we have to pay and give money to another person for his own mistakes. The landlord neglects to do his job, so the tenants have to pay to do his job for him, even though we already pay him. So he's double dipping. Not only that, we're getting gouged in every place else.